Hi everybody, my name is Nicholas and today I'll be showing you how to install Laravel on a DigitalOcean server. Now, when installing Laravel on DigitalOcean, I personally have encountered a lot of problems, so I've scoured the internet in search of the best way to install Laravel on a DigitalOcean server, and I'm here to show you that today. So, the first thing you want to do is to get your DigitalOcean account up and running. So I'm just gonna log in with mine, and when it's finished we want to make sure and create our droplet. So click on create at the top here, then click on droplet. Then you want to click on marketplace, and then you want to go down to LAMP. We'll be creating this on a LAMP server, which means Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP on Ubuntu 18.04. Choose the price that you're willing to pay. Seeing that this is a test, we're just going to go with the $5 a month plan and choose a server that's nearby. You'll want to enable monitoring. You don't have to, but you can, just to see the activity on your server. And I should say at this point that if you're selecting a plan that basically costs nothing, your account will be relatively low, and I don't think you will need to put in your credit card, so you're free to sort of test out the service. The next thing we'll need to do is to create an SSH key. This enables a level of security on our droplet, so let's just go right ahead and create that. So to create our SSH key, we're going to use a tool called Putty Key Generator. The link to download would be in the description. Good, so let's generate the key. Now this is going to generate a public private key pair. The public part of the key is what is going to be stored on the server, and the private part would be something that we will keep. It's basically just a file that we keep so that we'll be able to have access to the server using the public key. Right, so click on generate and generate some random stuff by moving your mouse in the middle of your screen, and you should see this code appear. So the first thing you want to do is to just highlight this entire code, copy it, and then create a new SSH key. Paste the contents here, give it a name. I'm running out of grass type Pokemon. Let's just call them I don't know, let's just use a different type. Let's use Onyx. Let's use a stone type. Great, so we've created our public key and we've given it a name. You don't have to give it a name, just come up with something random, it doesn't really matter. Then we're going to give our droplet a name, so let's just give it a name, call it Laravel app. Then we click on create. This process takes about 2 to 3 minutes to complete, so I will check back in a moment. Okay, so our new droplet has just been created, so let's just connect to that. But before we do that, let's just go back to our key generator, make sure and save our private key somewhere where we won't lose it. So it's going to ask us if we want to save it without a passphrase. You could put in the passphrase if you want, but I'm not going to. Let's give it a name and save it inside of this folder. Perfect. Alright, so now that we've saved our private key, we've stored our public key, we can close off the key generator. If you want, you can save your public key on your computer somewhere else, just in case you might need it in the future. Good. So we have our droplet. Let's go ahead and connect it. Let's copy the IP address of our droplet, and let's open up Putty, which should be somewhere around here. Alright, so the tool that we'll be using to connect to our droplet is called PuTTY. Link to download will be in the description. We'll want to take the IP address here that was created by our server and plug it in here. I've already created all of these settings for our server, so I'm just gonna click load to load all the settings. These settings would include the private key that we would have sent the link to here under SSH and auth. Make sure and put the link, the location of your private key here, and put in the IP address of your droplet here, and then you can click on save to save your session in case you need to connect to it in the future. And let's open it up. And finally, we have some level of liftoff in getting everything done here. Oh, and by the way, to get it up and running, once you save what you have here, you can load it back in case you need to get to it in the future. And to actually access it, you click on it, then you click on open. And this is the screen that you will see. We are currently trying to get access to our droplet, so we're going to log in as root. And because we have already put in our private key, our login was basically seamless. We have everything that we need to get access to the server. We didn't have to put in any password. If we didn't have the private key, we would have had to put in a password. Great. So let's get started in getting everything up and running. Okay, good. So I have my little notepad on the side here so I can keep track of all the steps. Right, so first we need to add a user because we don't want to be running stuff as root. If you keep running stuff as root, we could run into some problems. So let's just add a new user and add a password for that user. Give him a name, room number, work phone, home phone, and other. Yes, all of this information is correct. Great, so we've just added our user. Now we need to add a user to the sudo group. Alright, so the sudo group is sort of like the administrator group. Next, we want to add the public key to the new user's profile. So to do that, we use the command rsync. Archives, we could keep the permissions the same. We can keep the read write values the same. It's equal to nick. Put in the directory of our SSH file, and great. So we run this command to add the SSH file to our new user, which is nick. All right, let's just double check it. Looks good. Great, no errors. Right, so let's just close off this and log in as nick. Alright, so we're going to log in as nick. So click on Laravel, open. Let's just full screen this here. Boom, that was easy. Great. Now, the first two things that we need to do is to run a sudo apt update and put in our password. Gonna let this run. Alright, that has been completed. The next step would be to run a dist upgrade. So hit up to get the previous command and type in dist and we're just going to let this run. This will take a little while, and you will see some prompts coming up every now and then, so I'm just going to hang on a bit. A prompt should appear in just a moment. You'll want to select the default options and to keep the existing files when running this. So let's just give it 1 minute. Bear with me as it goes through. Alright, and after this we'll be installing PHPMyAdmin, and yeah, so let's just give this a minute. Alright, and this is the prompt that you'll be seeing. We want to keep the local version currently installed, so let's make sure we select that and let that load again. You'll want to select this option every single time during this installation, so just make sure that the option is selected and hit enter on your keyboard. Enter on your keyboard again. Every single time, just hit enter on your keyboard. When you see that prompt appear, select the default option. There is no need to select another option. Alright, our next step would be to enable A2N mod rewrite. So to do that, just type in sudo A2EN mod and mod rewrite. Right, we will restart Apache later on. Next, let's just get our MySQL password. To do so, type in nano root DigitalOcean. Alright, so the path root is not accessible. No problem, we can fix that. To fix that, we need to type sudo, and there we have it. So let's just take a cursor and highlight this entire password. Hit enter on your keyboard to copy it, and let's just paste it in a text file somewhere outside. Good, so I've pasted it in a text file somewhere outside. Close this off. No, we don't really want to save it. Hit N. Oh, okay. One thing I forgot to tell you. When we want to exit this, press Ctrl and X on your keyboard in order to exit it. And if you've made changes, you just hit N and enter to get out of there. Right. Great. So we have our password stored somewhere. Now we are going to install PHPMyAdmin. PHPMyAdmin installs a lot of the dependencies that Laravel needs. So let's install PHPMyAdmin. To do so, type in sudo apt get install PHP enter, and at some point it's going to ask us for the password. We want to select Apache 2, so just hit enter on your keyboard, and in the meanwhile I'm just going to copy the password that I got. It should still be on the clipboard, but just in case it isn't, okay, yes, click on yes for this. And to paste the password, just right click on your keyboard and it should paste the password string. Then hit tab and hit OK. Paste it again, tab and OK. Alright, so PHPMyAdmin has been successfully installed. If you want to see PHPMyAdmin on your browser, you can simply add this string to your configuration file. Alright, so I'm just going to show you how to do that in just 1 minute. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure I remembered where the directory was. So if you want to see PHPMyAdmin, which is a web-enabled interface for you to browse and peruse your database, you can add this string to the Apache configuration file. So let's go to the configuration file right now. We're going to go to cd, which means change directory, go to etc, then Apache 2. Now you can just simply hit tab at APA and it would autofill and get to Apache 2 for you. If we do ls, that allows us to list the items in the current directory. Alright, so we can see here that Apache 2 is right here. To access Apache 2, we could type sudo nano apache2.conf. Then you hit the down arrow. You can hit page down to get to the bottom of the script. And to include PHPMyAdmin, type in include etc PHPMyAdmin So by including this at the bottom of your Apache configuration file, you would be able to access PHPMyAdmin via your browser. So let's just put in a little comment here. Hit Control and X. It's going to ask us if we want to save. Hit Y, then hit enter. Great, so with that out of the way, we can continue our steps. So let's press CD to go back to our root directory, and now we are going to install Composer. Composer is a tool that we need in order to get Laravel installed on the server. So to install Composer, type in sudo apt get install Composer. Hit enter, hit yes, Y, then hit enter. Let that run. Great. Now we need to get into a web directory. So cd var www. Let's list the directories here to see what we got. Okay, so we just have one folder. Great. Now we're going to create our project here. So type in Composer. Well, type in sudo Composer because we're going to have to do some directory creation and so on. So sudo Composer create project. Preferred distribution. Laravel. And the name of it. So let's just call it app and hit enter. And this is going to run. You're going to see a couple of complaints, but don't worry, everything is going to be just fine. This is going to take about a minute or two to complete. Alright, so once it is completed, you would see application key set successfully. So that's a sign that it's run and it's completed. Next, we are going to have to change some directory settings inside of the Laravel folder itself. So the first thing we want to do is to change the ownership of two folders inside of Laravel. So let's just change our directory and go into the app itself and take a look at the content. We have storage, and we also have bootstrap. Right, these are two folders that we need to allow the server to actually write it. So to do that, sudo change ownership, this user with the $sign simply means the current user that is logged in, which is Nick. www.data is the web server, and storage, that's the first one. Let's make sure I'm putting our password. The second one would be bootstrap and cache. Great. Now we need to change the write access. To do that, we type sudo -r, simply means it's recursive, so it goes into the subfolders, it applies all the changes to the subfolders and so on. 775 storage, and same thing for bootstrap and cache. Great. Good. So we're almost there. There's a couple more things that we need to do. We need to redirect the Apache to let Apache know where is Laravel installed. So let's go to the configuration files. So change directory into etc Apache 2. Let's go into sites available. And let's configure this file here. Let's make a couple changes to this file here. So sudo nano Right, so this is the default file that has the configuration settings to let Apache know, hey, this is the directory that we want to serve. So let's just open this guy up. Great. So here is what we're going to change. The directory of our Laravel app should be in app and public and make the same change here. Oops. Alright, and we also want to add a couple changes to the settings here. We're going to add rewrite engine on, and we're going to add rewrite base on as well. Great, so this just basically lets Apache, which is our web server, know where our Laravel installation is installed. So we just put the location of our Laravel server, which is in app and in public. We enable rewrite engine on so that the server knows that Laravel will be making changes to the URL. So this is why we need to have rewrite engine on. Rewrite base, this simply lets the server know that this is the base of our Laravel directory and where to look to in case the URL changes. Laravel is going to be handling all of these aspects. We're just giving the service the correct parameters in order to handle everything well. Great, so let's just save that. Control and X. yes, enter, and we are almost at the very end. Great. So what we are going to do now is restart our server, and this is the moment of truth, because we could have made an error somewhere along the way, a syntax error, and Apache is going to pick up on it and complain about it if it does indeed happen. So we'll know once you restart the server. So let's restart the server and see how that looks like. So to do that, and when I say restart server, I'm referring specifically to restarting Apache 2. So sudo, you can also use reload as well. Apache 2, oh, it should be sudo service. Oh, I think I mixed up the command. Dang it, what was the command again? Alright, so the command should be sudo service Apache 2 restart. Okay, so this is great. This means that there's no errors. In our configuration, we didn't make any mistakes. I'm pretty tired, so I'm making a lot of mistakes. But anyway, so let's just check and see if everything works well. We're going to take our IP address, plug it into our browser, and see if Laravel loads. Alright, so let's go. Alright, so let's test it out. Click on copy, paste in here, and there you have it. We have Laravel up and running just as we wanted to. So this is the first part of many videos that I'll be doing on Laravel. We'll be looking at configuring the database, migrations, we'll be looking at user scaffolding, many other features of Laravel which I think are really fun in this series. But for now, that's it for this video, and thanks very much for bearing with me and my tired voice, and do have a nice day. Goodbye.